It's day 7 of Karen's Christmas movie marathon, and today we're watching Silent Night, Deadly Night. And we're talking about Silent Night, Deadly Night from the year 1984. It was directed by Charles Sellier Jr., who was also best known at this point in time for directing episodes of Grizzly Adams. Were you ever much of a Grizzly Adams fan, Karen?
Never watched it. Heard of it, but never watched it.
Do you know who Grizzly Adams, like who he was?
Nope.
He was just a guy who lived out in the mountains with a grizzly bear. Like, that is the whole story. Like, what does this old dude in the mountains with his pet grizzly bear get up to? So I don't know how you go from directing that to directing Silent Night, Deadly Night, because one is very, very wholesome family entertainment that I watched with my mom and my grandparents, and one is definitely not. So I don't know how you get from Grizzly Adams to Silent Night, Deadly Night. But it's amazing what the overlap of the fandom is in this day and age. People who like both things.
Fantasy of his or something.
And it's written by a guy named Michael Hickey.
Okay.
I think this is Michael Hickey's whole career, is just Silent Night, Deadly Night. I think he started it at this level and he just never was able to push past it, so he just kept doing this. I'm kind of curious if he was related to Bill Spaceman Hickey. Do you know who Bill Spaceman Hickey was? He was a professional wrestler back in the old territory days, like the 70s, 60s, something like that.
Did they make more of these movies, though? Like a 2, 3, like more sequels?
Oh, yes.
So it must have been okay because they remade it and it comes out next Friday, new modern one.
They also remade it in 2012, I found
Lord
out.
have mercy.
So it's not even the first remake.
Wow.
So there's a whole lot to take in here, but it's starring Lillian Chauvin. I think it's a French name, Lillian Chauvin, and Gilmer McCormick. You love any movie with a good old Gilmer in it. And Gilmer, it just happens, is a lady's name. I always thought Gilmer was a boy's name till I was looking up the credits for this movie.
Oh, wow.
Did you think Gilmer was a girl's name or a boy's name?
I don't even know who that is, so they're not familiar to me at all.
Well, were there any familiar faces in this movie for you? Were there any
the
big
manager
stars?
of the store. Was that Gomer Pyle?
No,
but I
made
know
a
that
note.
guy.
I made a note to myself to point out that he looks remarkably like Jim Nabors.
Yes.
Jim Nabors is the actor who played Gomer Pyle. But no, that's not Jim Nabors.
Okay, so what did he play in? Because I know
don't know, but he looks so familiar to me too.
He is absolutely in a lot of stuff.
But I also didn't know if he just looked familiar to me because he kind of looks like Jim Nabors. Like, that was my whole concern, is maybe this guy isn't. I should have looked into it a little bit more. But the guy that owned the store, Mr. Whistlesnit, or whatever his name was, anyhow, this was made for a budget of $750,000. That's a pretty respectable
for that time.
indie movie budget. Yeah, it's not a lot, but it's a lot for an indie slasher. You got to remember, Halloween, 8 years before this, was made for $100,000, more or less. So yeah, $750,000. And it made $2.5 million at the box office. So that's
because it's terrible.
well, but that's 3 times its budget, so that's why they made more. That's a financial success. And you've got to remember too that was $2.5 million when it only played for like 10 days, and then it got pulled because of all the controversy.
Because it's awful.
Yeah, so it still had a very profitable run with a very short run. So I think you got to pay a little bit of respect to this movie, at least for that.
Yeah, I guess.
All right. This is the part of the show where I tell everybody that there's going to be spoilers. There is no way that we can talk about this landmark achievement of cinema without spoiling what happens. So you probably don't want to watch the rest of this video if you're trying to avoid spoilers for 1984, 85, 84. 84. Silent Night, Deadly Night. I'm not your dad. Okay. Are you prepared for my Hundo Benji on this one?
Sure.
My Hundo Benji synopsis is something like this. A boy grows up to believe that Santa is more concerned about his naughty list than his nice one.
That's okay.
Well, give me some suggestions.
I don't like grows to believe.
Well, isn't that what happens?
No,
he grows up believing.
He believes from the beginning, pretty much.
He didn't believe it before the incident, the inciting incident.
He believed it when his uncle or whoever that was in the hospital told him that Santa was a bad, that Santa focused on the bad kids. And I think from there he was scared to death. He already had it in his mind. Well, and then he witnessed the murder of his parents by Santa Claus. So I'm pretty sure that a boy doesn't grow to believe or believes that every Santa is bad.
Naughty.
Every Santa.
That's not a great catchphrase for a killer. No. Naughty.
No.
It's got nothing on Freddy Krueger, which I mentioned that. It's significant because this movie opened the same weekend as Nightmare on Elm Street.
Ugh.
I think it was the first Nightmare on Elm Street, or it might have been a sequel. Anyway, this movie opened the same weekend as the Nightmare on Elm Street movie. Yeah. Last movie we reviewed, Gremlins, opened the same weekend as Ghostbusters. Mm-hmm. I think there's a whole lot more to behold with Ghostbusters versus Gremlins than there is with Nightmare on Elm Street versus Silent Night, Deadly Night. But they are landmark horror movies that people talk about and every horror fan knows about. So 1984 was a good year with some crazy weekends of release. This one, of course, being holiday themed, was released in November. Mm-hmm. I don't know why they decided to release Nightmare on Elm Street in November unless they thought it was going to win a bunch of Oscars. You think that's what Wes Craven was hoping for? Mm-hmm. Johnny Depp could have been his first
I'm sure
Oscar.
People went to see Nightmare on Elm Street more than
honestly,
this one.
Nightmare on Elm Street did not do as well in its opening weekend as this one because nobody had ever heard of it before. It was totally new at the time. And
I bet if they went to see it and they saw what happened in the first 10 minutes and they were like, ooh.
Yes.
Then they go and tell all their little friends that, guess what I saw on the movie screen.
This movie opened strong because it had controversy, because they ran ads for it before the movie even debuted, as is what the common practice is.
A wholesome movie,
And this Silent Night, Deadly Night was one of the most controversial movies ever made in my lifetime. Okay. I think it's right there with The Last Temptation of Christ is another one of those that was really controversial growing up, The Crying Game. But this one was extremely controversial, and watching it now with modern eyes and living in this modern world, I don't think it deserved the controversy. How do you feel about the controversy?
Well, I don't know what all the controversy is. So you got to talk about that first.
Okay, well, the movie poster had Santa Claus holding an axe going down a chimney.
Okay.
And then the trailers would show someone dressed as Santa with an axe going to kill people.
Okay.
So people...
Why would that make it controversial? Then they got to know that it's a horror movie.
Nobody had ever really noticed Santa Claus as a murderer before. So they just thought that Santa Claus should be off limits to be a murderer, even if it is just someone dressed like Santa Claus.
They know what they're in for by the poster. They told them exactly what was going to happen if he had an axe in his hand and with the title. So what if they'd called it Silent Night, Deadly Night, and a Santa without an axe? That would have been even more controversial, because then you tricked people into coming to see a movie that turned out to be a horror movie. You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying, but it was extremely controversial.
Weird.
The PTA, like the National Parent Teacher Association, band together and got the distributors and the cinemas to pull this out of movie theaters because they didn't want the posters up when they were taking their kids to see good Christmas movies.
Oh my gosh.
Taking them to see something wholesome.
Could you see them doing that now?
No, of course not.
I know, right? So, what's the difference?
That's why I said through modern eyes.
Now? It's weird.
Through modern eyes, it just doesn't seem that controversial. But having lived through it, it's crazy. And people that didn't live through it, I'm trying to communicate to them a little bit and just see if you can even relate to the controversy of the time. Yeah. I will say that as a 10-year-old, when I saw those ads on television, some of them were being shown on prime time, and I'm not exaggerating here. They would show like a commercial for Silent Night, Deadly Night during a commercial break in something like Family Ties or The Cosby Show.
Or watching like Charlie Brown Christmas or something.
Hopefully they didn't do that. But it wouldn't surprise me if they did, the way things were in the 80s. And when I saw that, I thought someone had made a movie where Santa decided to kill people.
Right.
Like, I thought it was the actual, honest to goodness, real life Santa Claus being portrayed killing people. And it made me feel very uneasy. And I was very disturbed by those trailers. So I get the controversy.
Yeah, I guess.
But
so.
now when I look at it, I was like, I was a fragile little child. It's just the ads that they shouldn't have ran. Not
well,
the
I mean,
movie.
like, even when they showed, like, Santa, did they show Santa's face in those ads?
No, it's
It
like
was
from
just
the
the
side.
hands and whatever? Okay.
It just looked
I
like, it
guess
didn't
I
look
can
like
see
a
that.
20-year-old kid.
Because, well, I mean, if you looked at the Santa that was the one that robbed the store in the beginning, he didn't look like a regular Santa either. I mean, he didn't have, like, the old person face. He had the still, like, young eyes and the fake beard and stuff. So I could see if they had, like, a Santa that looked like the Miracle on 34th Street guy Santa that actually had the full, like, real facial features and the real, beard, and then had the axe in his hand and stuff. So, but if they just had, like, someone dressed up, like...
Now, this was the first time you've ever watched this, right?
Yeah, I'd heard of it, but I'd never seen it before.
Now, do you remember the first time you ever heard of it?
I mean, I've just heard the name, just in
So you don't
passing,
have, like, a
so-
real strong memory? Like, you don't remember being particularly disturbed or bothered or
1984, I
anything?
wasn't even in America.
I know,
So-
but you might have heard of it at a sleepover at a friend's house.
No,
Because
and
it's such an...
we weren't into that. We were into more Stephen King type stuff.
Well, it's just
so.
such an or even seeing, like, the video rental box on the shelf at the video store could
It just
be
wasn't
memorable
something
to a
that
kid.
appealed to me. Like, even
Okay.
though I was watching a lot of horror movies around, like, 8, 9, 10 years old. No.
Well, this movie starts out with some standard horror tropes, but then Michael Hickey kind of shows that he is a novice writer because it doesn't quite follow the tropes in a way that makes sense and that we've been trained to expect.
Yeah.
But he does start off with the Harbinger, and I'm going to say I really like his choice of Harbinger here.
I do
found
too.
it really interesting and really creepy. They go to an insane asylum in Utah to visit Grandpa. And Grandpa is like catatonic. He doesn't talk, he doesn't speak, he doesn't react to anything. And then as soon as the parents leave the room and little Billy, the kid, is there with him, his grandson, he turns around and says, "Santa's evil and gonna get you, Santa's gonna punish the naughty. You better not be naughty or Santa's gonna get you."
At first, I thought that was like... that he was faking whatever, because all of a sudden he just started talking.
It was weird.
Because the
It was
little
really
boy talked
weird.
back to him. They
I
had a
know.
full out conversation,
It was
so he
really
understood
weird.
what he was doing.
Yeah, it was
and
really
then
weird.
when the parents came back in, it was like, he's talking.
I thought it was a clever way to do it. I
Yeah.
thought it was pretty inventive, and I liked it. I'm going to go ahead and say up front that I feel like I enjoy this movie
That's
more than you do.
probably the only part I liked in this movie.
And then,
I've got to be honest, almost couldn't finish it. And I told you that. I just my attention was gone after he goes into the toy store.
the
And then
movie,
nope.
the movie starts strong, and I'm going to tell you where I think it falters as we work our way through this. But it starts
I
strong.
can tell you where it falters. I'll give you my opinion in a minute after I hear yours.
What are the odds that on your way home from a mental institution that looks like it's in rural Utah,
Yeah.
you'd get carjacked by a liquor store robbing Santa Claus?
Yeah.
Because this guy dressed as Santa is waving, and the parents think they're going to be sweet. And they're like, "Oh, you're going to get to see Santa. Billy, aren't you excited?" Of course, Billy's just been freaked out by Grandpa.
Yeah.
So he's screaming, "No, don't stop.
Yeah.
Don't stop." And of course, he's immediately justified when his parents get violently assaulted and murdered,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then he just leaves little baby Ricky in the back seat. I never quite understood. Like, I know
A
how
little girl?
Ricky was a little boy.
Oh, I
'cause-
thought it was a little girl.
No, Ricky is the little brother in the orphanage throughout the movie.
Oh, I did.
That's
the
his
whole
little
time I was
brother.
like, "What happened to the baby?" Like I
Look,
thought.
I don't want to
maybe
give
he
you
killed the
too many
baby.
spoilers.
Wow.
But that's who the killer is in the sequels.
Oh,
is Ricky,
Jesus.
not Billy.
I
So
can
I'll let
see
you know
why
that.
then. That's just stupid.
Naughty.
Lord
You
have mercy.
set it up perfectly for a sequel. Some clever writing here, but not all of it.
Yeah.
So the kid gets justified, but of course he ends up being raised in a Catholic orphanage. And if movies and TV are to be believed, if I was an orphan, I wouldn't want to be a Catholic orphan.
No.
I'd want to be one of those that like get adopted by Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie or get adopted by Madonna and grow up really wealthy.
Yeah.
I do not want to be where the nuns hit you with a belt
Yeah.
and stuff. Because that looked like it wasn't good for his early childhood
It's the
development. to me.
stereotypical, like what you see in other movies and sometimes what you hear from other people about how rough it is.
And also, I don't know if I've ever told you this before, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm deathly afraid of penguins. So nuns look a lot like penguins, and that scares me
Yeah,
too.
you're not-
I saw a nun one time in Jackson when I was a kid and freaked out and had to go run hide in the bushes. I didn't want her to see me. Now, can you believe that this movie spawned 2 remakes and 4 sequels?
No, 4 remakes and 2
No, that's backwards. Of my notes.
sequels. Okay.
2 remakes and 4 sequels.
I can't. I think it's because it didn't make as much money as I wanted it to, and then I guess maybe it had a cult following, but also like maybe they wanted it to make more money, so they decided to do it again. I don't know.
And back in the 80s, they don't say this anymore, but back in the 80s, they said there's no such thing as bad publicity. Now, we found out that some publicity can be very, very bad
Yes.
in our modern era, and I don't want to talk about cancel culture and stuff, but back in the 80s, it's like, everybody says we should ban this movie, that means we need to make another one as quick as possible
Yeah.
while everybody's talking about it, because controversy equals cash. Especially in the 80s when, you know, the satanic panic was going on and people were just leaning into it like heavy metal and stuff.
But you said it was in movies for 10 days.
Yes.
Made 2.5 million.
At the box office.
They were probably like, well, if it can make that much in just a little amount of time, imagine if we made it not controversial and
Well,
blah, blah, blah.
after its 10-day run, it got fast-tracked into video stores.
And then I bet it went crazy
Because
after that.
I'm pretty sure all the sequels just went straight to video. There's no
Yeah.
theatrical release
Yeah.
after the first one got yanked. I don't think they even tried to get distribution. Of course, the remakes did, but not the sequels. But yeah, this movie, which is a high concept movie to say the least, but this kid gets raised in a very cruel orphanage.
Yes.
The orphanage is also really weird because I've never heard of a place where you sit on Santa's lap after you've opened your Christmas presents on Christmas morning.
Yeah.
Like normally you sit on Santa's lap to say what you want for Christmas. But in this orphanage, you got your present, then you had to sit on Santa's lap, tell him thank you, and give him a thank you card. That makes me hate Santa.
Yeah.
And I didn't even see my parents get murdered by a drunken Santa. So I totally get the
Everything's
kid.
backwards, I guess. Yeah.
Totally get the kid, but you know, because he's a weirdo, nobody adopts him because you know, weird kids aren't good kids apparently. So this nun gets him a job, and I'm pretty sure she pimped him out just a little bit.
Yeah.
Wasn't that dude that owned the toy store, the one we think looks like Gomer Pyle? He was almost licking his lips as he was looking that boy up and down, the 18-year-old.
No.
And the camera started right at crotch level.
No, I didn't get that at all.
Because he said, I don't need one of your orphans back here working in the back. She said, oh, why don't you just look at him first?
Yeah, I
and then
think
she
it's because
puts up that handsome man
she
meat.
said a kid, and he expected a kid, like a kid, not someone to be fit. You know what I mean? Like he's probably thinking like a 14-year-old boy who's skinny legs, can't do any lifting, is going to be lazy. And then he turns around and he sees this 18-year-old boy who is like, who can actually like lift things and move heavy boxes. I think in his mind, he's like, I'm not going to have to do a lot of work because I'm going to make this kid do everything for me. You know what I mean?
I do like the way that the boss celebrates on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
When he says 7 o'clock, time to get shit faced. That's the office. I've never seen an office party because I would imagine on Christmas Eve, I would run out the door as fast as I could want to get home. I couldn't imagine wanting to get drunk at work on Christmas Eve after working on Christmas Eve. That's not my thing.
Well,
I want to get drunk at
They
home.
probably at a toy store worked all the way up
Yeah.
until the end, and then what's left to do? Party, because it's over. The biggest day of the year. Well, the day after Christmas would be a big day too.
Now, here is the writing is still good here because there's a situation where Santa Claus doesn't show up at the toy store for the kiddos. So they force the kid who hates Santa to wear a Santa suit, and it flips a switch in him, and he decides he is Santa and has to punish people on the naughty list, and murders ensue. And I think the movie's still going good as long as he's in the toy store. But they realized they didn't have enough pages and they needed it to be longer. Once he leaves the toy store, that's when it falls apart to me. When he goes to murder Linnea Quigley and her boyfriend while they're babysitting at the pool table house, from there on it loses me. But I think it's pretty good up to that
Lord,
point.
no. Yeah.
And it has...
You are not going to get to choose movies hardly anymore.
No, it has another great point, because once the cops know there's a guy dressed like Santa going around murdering people and they know he wants to go back to that orphanage and kill the nuns, well, they send police to go try to protect the orphans. And they see Santa coming in and they stop, freeze, it's the police. And that Santa doesn't stop, so they shoot him in the back like 5 times. And the orphans watch Santa get gunned down by the cops. They will later get to see a second Santa gunned down by the cops on the same Christmas morning, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So back at the police station where this nun is sitting next to the chief of police, they say, well, what happened to the guy we shot? Oh, he's a 50-year-old man. And they said, well, the guy we're looking for is 18. Oh, that was Father Bennigan coming to be Santa for the kids. Well, we told him to stop. He's deaf. He can't hear.
Yeah. That was
okay.
Funny. Okay, I laughed at that part.
I support the right of anyone to do anything they want to do. But in 1984, don't you think a deaf Santa, the kids are going to realize, like, when he says, they don't talk clearly. They're telling him what he wants and he can't hear him. Now, if you have deaf kids,
they
a deaf
probably
Santa's
spoke
awesome.
for him. I'm sure the nuns were like, tell Santa what you want. And all he had to do was like shake his head.
You know what?
That's
you make
it.
a good point.
He didn't even have to speak.
I still think a deaf Santa was not the best of ideas, especially if there's a murderous Santa on the loose. Also,
that's probably the most controversial part, I think, of this movie.
As a person who has done a live Santa gig before, you don't arrive to the gig in costume. You don't want people seeing Santa climb out of a Nissan Kicks in the parking lot. You get out in your civilian form and you go, I guess I'm going to go into this place and hang out. And then you sneak and change clothes and they say, Santa's arrived, and you come out from whatever room you changed in.
Sure.
And then you don't get shot in the back.
He just walked in the door.
Was I shot in the back by any cops when I was Santa?
But he just walked in the door.
Okay. Well,
the kids didn't see where he came from.
I clearly care more about this than you do.
The kids didn't see where he came from. He just walks in the door.
Okay.
So they didn't know that he came in a car.
It was a pickup
truck. Why would he come in not dressed, go in another room, come out of that same room dressed? Then the kids would be like, what's going on? You went in there. Where's the guy? Like, why'd you come out dressed as Santa?
Come in his priest outfit, he probably wouldn't have gotten shot.
Yeah.
Unless it was a Protestant Irish cop. I don't know. Am I starting some troubles in Ireland?
We don't talk about religion in our show.
I'm just talking about 1984. Only politics.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. I take it all back, people. I take it all back. Do you feel like this movie had...
Don't even say it.
Too many boobs?
Yes. That's where it went off the rails.
I agree.
At the beginning of the movie, when the mom gets killed, she gets dragged out of the car, thrown on the ground. The first thing Santa does is hop on her, rip her shirt open, and her boobs just fly out, and she's going, oh. You don't see her get her throat cut in that first scene, though. All you see are her boobs just flopping around, and then you see her with her neck cut, but not in the process of. It's in a later in the movie that you see the Santa actually running the knife across his neck.
I want to
say too much focus on boobs.
That it was unnecessary. It's the very definition of gratuitous nudity, and I'll tell you why gratuitous nudity is in slasher movies and vulgar R-rated comedies from this era. In 1984, the internet wasn't around yet. There's no internet in people's houses like the military and colleges could do communication with email and stuff, but not as we know it. Also, in 1984, more people didn't have VCRs than did, still, in America and around the world. So you couldn't just see some boobies anytime you wanted, and if you did, it might be in a Playboy magazine you hide under your mattress or something. If you wanted to see the boobies actually bounce, you either had to go to one of those really weird, creepy adult theaters like Pee Wee Herman got in trouble in, and I don't think I would blame anyone for not wanting to go to those. The whole idea of it's kind of gross. Or you say, oh, I'm going to go see Scary Movie because I love scary movies, and meanwhile you're staring at all the boobs. And it's a good way to make some money off of 17-year-old boys back in 1984. Now I
What was
appreciate
this rated?
it. Oh, it had to be R.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I didn't see it, what it was rated, but I can imagine that that's why it made as much money as it did, because in the first 10 minutes, boobs come flying out, and I could see the boys going, "Oh, you got to go see this movie," because every 15 minutes
It is
in
crazy.
this movie shows another pair of boobies.
Now, I listened to a biography of a director who made like these B movies, really low, the guy who made Shrunken Heads.
Yeah.
And they talked about sometimes some directors on a set are like, okay, every 15 pages, we need boobs. Every 15 pages, we need boobs, no matter what. This
could see
movie
that.
feels like that.
Oh, it's awful.
Every 15 pages, boobs come out.
Yep. And it's too much lingering on the boobs. Like, I feel like the boobs flash up, and then the whole scene, like, you lose the point of the scene because all you see is a boob flopping around, or a guy squeezing a boobie, or another a body pan, and like the one where the 18-year-old kid is daydreaming about the girl, and then Santa like comes to kill him. It has a slow body shot going from their legs up, and all you see is his hairy ass, and that drives me nuts. I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's like a softcore porn.
It is
It's
very
awful.
much so.
It is awful.
Very much so.
It's not for kids, for sure.
The thing that bothered me most about the boobs were the first set of boobs we saw, because they belong to the mom.
Yeah.
She has a baby in the back seat. Mm-hmm. Those breasts look like the breasts of a young woman who's never had children.
They don't look like breastfeeding boobs at all.
Yeah, and I mean, she'd probably still be actively lactating with the age of that
Yeah.
baby. So that threw me off. She needed some mommy milkers out there.
Well, and every
These
time-
movies never show real boobs.
Every time they do the flashback of the boy when he was little watching his mom get killed, like they focused on the boobs again. It's like that's all you see is like why?
And
Like
I want
oh,
to encourage any directors who want to make
awful.
some throwback slasher movies, if you're going to have gratuitous boobs, at least give us some big and floppies. Give us some mommy milkers.
my
Give
God,
us some
this is-
real
this
boobs.
is getting
I'm
me too
sorry.
much.
Go on. Change this topic.
no,
What do you want to
this
talk
is getting
about
be
next?
you're getting a little too like unnecessarily
It's gratuitous.
talking about no boobs. That's what made
fixated.
this movie, I think, the absolute worst. And just the storyline sucked, and I almost just couldn't finish it because all I see is boobs and killing, boobs and killing, boobs and killing. I didn't want to like watch it anymore. So
I was a bottle-fed baby.
I think you're just like, you liked it for the boobs. You're just focusing on the boobs.
Anyway, I give it a double D cup.
You were what? You were 10 when this came out, so I'm sure you were like, oh, boobies.
No, I probably didn't care that much about boobs.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's just go ahead and ask you some of the questions I like to ask you. You did have a few laughs in this movie?
Yeah.
Tell me some of the laughs. Did you have any besides the one that we kind of pointed out about the deaf, the deaf priest?
Not really. I mean, that was probably the funniest joke that I'd heard, but like, I don't know. I think it was maybe at the beginning when he was talking to the grandpa, and you know he was just so like stoic and you know staring off into space, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden he comes alive when the parents leave, and it's like, hey, did you know that Santa kills kids, or
I think the
don't be on the
only
naughty list?
I think the only really good intentional laugh is the deaf priest.
Yeah.
Yeah, because nothing else on it. In an absurd movie that I enjoy watching for all the wrong reasons, I didn't laugh as much as I would like to.
Yeah.
So. Did it tug at your heartstrings at all? It's about.
I mean, I
an
felt bad
orphan
for the
and
kid
brothers and
whose
stuff.
parents got killed, and then the way he was treated in the orphanage. I think he was a little misunderstood. I wish there had been a little more empathy for him and his
Yes.
situation from the nuns. You know, but it was more like I think they kind of isolated him and also like alienated him from the other kids and like discriminated against like him because they thought he was just weird. You know, they didn't have any sympathy for what he had gone through, and I did not like that.
I think that the moment I found most sympathetic, the thing that probably touched me on an emotional level the most, because this movie is not one that you really get emotionally attached to. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But when he was punished by Mother Superior, and then the other nun came and told him even though he's being punished, he needs to go on out and play with the other kids. And then he gets in trouble for it and he gets lashed with a belt.
Yeah.
I felt like I had been in that at that age, you know, where like, because I'm trying to do as I'm told, I'm getting punished because I'm getting told by two adults that I have to obey to do things in conflict. I still feel that way sometimes, like at work and stuff. So that feeling there, getting punished just for being obedient, really hurt.
Yeah. I feel like in some ways I probably had gone through that. My brother and sister and I ourselves living in my grandma's house. You know, it's my grandma's house, but my dad was also living with us too. So it might have been something that like my dad said it was okay for us to do, but my grandmother said no, or my grandmother said it was okay, but my dad said no. There was no communication, like communication between the two. Like one is you're gonna get punished, but you said, but the other one told me it was okay.
Oh yeah.
But you know what I mean? And then they're like, oh, you threw me into that situation. I feel like, you know, with us, maybe it's happened a couple times with our own kids, but not to that extent.
Also, where we're like in the same household, and we're even when we're not a team, it's still not as like if we were living in different houses or something.
Well, I feel like we also know how like default to the other parent. You're like, go ask your mom. You know, go get permission from somebody else.
Sometimes we will actually talk to each other too.
Yeah.
Did you have like a most memorable moment, or as we normally do with these slasher movies, it turns out to be a most memorable kill? Did you have a most memorable kill in this movie?
Probably the babysitter scene. I mean, the one at the beginning was like obvious. You kind of knew that was going to happen, but the babysitter scene was kind of odd. Like, how did he just show up at their house? Like, was he on his way back to the orphanage? How did he know those people?
I don't think he knew them at all. I think he just stumbled upon a house
showed up,
where
which I thought was
naughty.
really strange.
That's where I thought it started to fall apart.
Yeah.
The babysitter, I'm pretty sure that the actor is Linnea Quigley. I forgot to mention her when we were talking about familiar faces. You wouldn't really know who she is. She's in a lot of movies like this, though.
Okay.
So she's like famous for this kind of stuff. She was in Sorority Babes in the Slimeball Bowl-O-Rama that I watched not too long ago.
So she's famous for flashing her boobies to everybody.
She wasn't in Shrunken Heads, but she was in Head of the Family. So she made a movie about a big head instead of a little head. All right. Did you have a best? Oh, but that was my favorite moment too, is when she got killed because she's hung up on the antlers.
Yes.
And I think this came before Lost Boys. So I wonder if Lost Boys with their vampire kill took a little page out of this.
Maybe. That was my most memorable kill, I guess. My most memorable moment.
Yeah.
That I thought was silly, I guess. More boobies was when the nun got caught with whoever it was. Was it the priest or something?
Was that a nun? I didn't know who those people were. I think it was a nun. I had no idea who those people were.
They're in the orphanage.
I thought they were like high school aged orphans.
No, the little boy like walked to the door. I really think it was a nun and like a priest or something, because when she came in there, she goes, "Oh, y'all are in trouble," and she shut the door like she was gonna beat the crap out of them too.
Okay, because I thought they were like high school age orphans.
I mean, maybe, but did you ever see any hardly any high school age orphans in the crowd of kids?
No, I didn't see any, but Billy was still there. I figure if you're in high school, you were in a different room. You're not talking to Santa with the little kids.
I guess. I mean,
you're probably out in the room where you learn how to smoke cigarettes and use switchblades.
When those two got caught, I was like, Jesus, shook my head like, oh my God.
And you bring up something I'd like to talk about a little bit, because I feel like I don't want to get through the movie without talking more about the boobs in the movie, because I don't feel like we talked enough about boobs. Any other thoughts about the breasts in this film? Did you count how many there were? I forgot to do that.
You mean like a pair of boobs?
What would be the best way to count it?
No.
Or would you count by the boob? Because somebody could show
say
just
a pair.
one. Okay.
There are four memorable pairs of boobs.
For a total of 8 nips.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Is that what you counted?
No, but I'll watch it again and count.
What do you mean? Like what? The mom, the girl in the orphanage, the dream sequence where he's making out with the girl he's in love with, and the babysitter.
Does the dream sequence count?
She showed her boobs. Yes,
Okay.
it does count. Like, why would, like...
Well, like if I see boobs in a dream,
Oh
it's
my
not the
God!
same as seeing them in real
It
life.
was still boobs. Oh
Okay.
God. Okay. Can we just stop talking about that, Lord?
Are there any themes beyond Christmas and boobs in this movie?
No. I cannot. I don't.
I can't. No, I'm trying to think about like childhood trauma is a pretty broad theme here.
Yeah.
Just mean adults create more mean adults. I feel like if he had a little love and kindness as a kid, maybe he wouldn't have been a psychotic murderer when he became 18.
Yeah. If that hadn't happened to his parents, I think he would have been fine. They would have handled it. You know, being the like if that whole situation hadn't happened with pulling over.
Yeah.
You know, being kind to strangers. Like you wanna tell people to like be kind to strangers, but also be cautious, because that whole thing just like led to a slippery slope of this happening, then this happened, and this happened, and it's all a result of that initial contact with the bad Santa in the store.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Maybe-
even if the carjacker had taken the time to take off his Santa outfit.
Yeah.
You know, but oh well, c'est de la vie,
Yeah.
as they say in France. So now it's time to give this movie grades. They only go so low, Karen. They only go so low, but on a scale of A to F, you know, like a report card grade, what is your mistletoe grade for the Christmas spirit?
I give it a Z.
A
Z.
I'm going to have to default and change that to an F, but okay.
F minus. Ugh.
I concur.
That's the
I give it a
absolute
0.0 GPA on
Yeah.
that. Now here, we will have a little bit of difference. How many boughs of holly, from 1 to 5, how many boughs of holly do you give this film?
Negative. Burn those boughs of holly. Definitely none. Zero.
I'm going to give
Zero.
it. I'm going to give it.
You say 1 to 5?
Yeah.
Ew.
I'm going to give it 3.5.
Why?
Because it's a landmark film in the horror slasher genre. It's one of those so bad it's good kind of experiences.
No.
There's a whole lot to talk about, and you can learn a little bit about amateur filmmaking from it, I think. So I'm giving it 3.5. I don't know why I like it, and I'm not proud of myself for liking it. But
You
I
like
don't
the
hate it.
boobs,
I
please.
don't.
It's
No, I
just-
can
come
see
out and say
more,
the boobs.
There are movies with way more boobs in it than this. Besides, I like diversity.
You like the
in my
boobs every 15
These were all
minutes.
20-something white boobs. I like a little bit of diversity in my boobies.
Anyway, it was terrible.
Well,
Terrible. Don't
with-
watch it. I don't recommend it at all.
Well, with
and now
that-
you're going to watch it because you're curious. But it's awful.
I'm going to say
Warning
goodbye
you.
before I get in trouble and get punched by my wife. So, Merry Christmas to all, and to all, boobies.